So let's just jump right in with the big question that every single organization is wrestling with right now. In a world that's changing faster than ever, how in the world do you build a fundraising strategy that's actually built to last?
To cut through all the noise and the jargon, we've analyzed over a dozen different trends from our source material, and we've boiled it all down to three major interconnected shifts. Think of them as revolutions. A revolution in technology, one in donor expectations, and a revolution in strategy itself.
All right, here's the game plan for this explainer. First, we'll tackle the tools that are changing everything. Then we're going to get into the people. Who are these modern donors and what actually drives them? After that, we'll dive into the new playbooks for success, before, tying it all together at the end.
First up, the digital transformation. And look, this is about so much more than just sticking a donate button on your website. This is a fundamental, ground-up shift in how organizations are connecting with supporters and managing every single dollar.
You know that old debate, virtual versus in-person? Well, it's over. The new standard, the new normal, is a hybrid approach. And it's not a compromise, it's the absolute sweet spot. The data we've seen shows that events that combine both physical and virtual elements, they just generate more revenue and attract way more people than either format can on its own.
Okay, and this is where it gets really interesting. Just look at the sheer speed of AI adoption. We're talking about nearly half of all nonprofits already using or planning to use artificial intelligence. This isn't some far-off sci-fi thing. This is happening right now, and it's all about making donor outreach smarter, way more personal, and a whole lot more efficient.
So how does this AI magic actually work? Well, a core function is something called predictive analytics. Think of it like this. Instead of just blasting out a generic email to everyone, the AI can look at past giving patterns and predict that, say, a specific donor is most likely to give in December. So it suggests a totally personalized appeal just for them, right when they're most receptive. You're moving from expensive guesswork to a super precise, data-driven strategy.
But, this digital gold rush has a dark side. As giving moves online, so do the crooks. Fraudulent campaigns can pop up literally overnight, and a single security breach can absolutely shatter the confidence your donors have in you. So protecting that trust, it is everything. All right, that brings us to our second big shift. You have to remember, technology is just a tool. What really truly matters is understanding the person on the other end of that transaction, the modern donor, and how their expectations are completely rewriting the rules.
And this quote from our source material just hits the nail on the head. Trust is no longer a given. Nope, it has to be earned day in and day out. And you earn it through radical transparency about where the money is going and what impact it's having.
And if you're wondering why this is happening, look no further than Gen Z and millennial donors. As they begin to wield more economic power, they are making it crystal clear that they're motivated by the mission, not just by some sense of obligation. They want real, authentic connection, and they demand to see clear, measurable social impact.
So, what's the bottom line here? The old model of sending a simple thank you note and calling it a day? It's dead. Donors today see themselves as investors in your cause, and just like any investor, they want to see the returns. They expect to see a clear, tangible line connecting their dollar to a real-world outcome.
So how do you actually show that impact? Well, the most effective organizations are mastering the art of impact storytelling. They don't just say, "We fed 1,000 people." No, they combine that hard data with the compelling personal story of one family that was helped. It's that blend of logic and emotion that builds a real, lasting connection.
Okay, so this all feeds perfectly into our third and final revolution, adapting the strategic playbook. I mean, with all these new tools and totally new donor expectations, the old strategies just aren't going to cut it anymore if you want long-term stability and growth.
Just look at this table. You can see a huge strategic pivot happening in real time. Organizations are getting off the roller coaster of unpredictable, one-off campaigns and jumping onto the stability of subscription-style monthly giving models. The benefits in predictability and keeping donors around are just too big to ignore.
And if you need any more proof, this chart basically screams the reason why. It is so much more expensive to constantly go out and find new donors than it is to just nurture and keep the ones you already have. Focusing on retention isn't just a nice-to-have, it's a powerful economic strategy.
And strategy isn't just about money, it's also becoming way more collaborative. We're seeing the rise of things like giving circles, where regular people pool their money for a bigger impact. And on a larger scale, the smartest nonprofits are building deep partnerships with corporations and the expert advisors who guide major donors.
It's about finding allies absolutely everywhere. So let's bring it all home. We've got the digital tools, the new donor expectations, and the smarter strategies. What does it all mean when you put these pieces together for the future of giving? Well, when an organization really gets this right and integrates all these trends, it unlocks 4 huge benefits. You build long-term sustainability with predictable revenue, you boost your efficiency with data and AI, you stay relevant with the next generation, and most importantly, you actually amplify your real-world impact. And this is a really key point. This isn't just a nonprofit thing anymore. This intense focus on mission-driven results, you'll hear it called ESG for environmental, social, and governance, has completely crossed over into the for-profit world. It's now a fundamental factor in how venture capitalists and angel investors decide which new startups to fund.
But let's be real. Navigating this future means being clear-eyed about the challenges. This new landscape is a minefield of new risks. As we lean more on AI, the ethical use of donor data is a huge concern. As we move online, we risk digital fatigue, where people just get burned out by constant requests. And underneath it all is that constant threat of eroding trust, because, as we said, once it's lost, it's incredibly hard to get back.
And that brings us to our final and maybe most important question for you. As you look at your own organization or the causes you really care about, you have to ask, is the strategy truly built to maximize real-world impact, or is it just running on the inertia of how things have always been done? Because really, the answer to that question will define the future.